to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep.
What company do you keep? Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it.
Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep.
What company do you keep? Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it. Welcome. Thank you for your patience.
Yes.
We each had our challenges on this lovely day.
Wow.
Getting here to the studio, but you know what? We're here. We're ready. We switch sides. Now I don't have to be looking at Sharon the whole time. I can look directly at you. She gonna have to look at me now. I am Sherelle Higgins. I am your host of Sisters in Company.
Yes.
You know my saying, if you stay ready, you don't have to get
That is
ready.
right.
We stayed ready, and we came to you live from
Yes.
Facebook while we were on our way to the studio.
Yes.
I was late because I was out on the soccer fields trying to support my son, and they were down 2-0 when I left. But, of course, after I left, he scored a goal.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to tell him I didn't see it because for every goal he scored, I have to pay him money. So I'm going to tell him since I didn't see it, I don't have no witnesses. I don't owe him nothing.
Oh, wow. And I am your co-host, Dr. Sharon Cradle, and I am coming back from North Carolina. I want to give my brother-in-law a shout out. The family gave him a surprise 60th birthday party, and he flew in from Chicago, and it was absolutely fabulous. And believe it or not, we got up 6 o'clock this morning, got on the road at 8 o'clock. And once we crossed over the North Carolina state line around 10 o'clock, my husband asked me, he said, do you want to just continue to go to Petersburg or do you want to stop in Emporia? And I was thinking to myself, maybe we can go to Petersburg. But something said, let's just stop right here in Emporia since we had been riding for 2 hours just to take a break. Well, just as, things happened, as soon as we got off the highway and went to the gas station, my husband looked down at his tire, and it had a hole in it. Wires were sticking out of it. And I tell you, that was nothing but the grace of God, because had we continued to go up that road traveling 80 miles an hour, 70, 80 miles an hour, no telling what would have happened. So we bless God. And, of course, that was a 2-hour ordeal, because on these trucks, you got to try to get the spare tire from underneath the truck. And when you haven't never removed the spare tire, things just get kind of stuck. So me and Alyssa, we tried to do our little part and help out just a little bit.
I was getting ready to say, it took 2 hours because she didn't get under that truck and get that spare tire from under there. She probably was watching my brother-in-law do all the work.
We were trying to help. We did the best we could, but I did call USAA roadside assistance.
That's how she helped.
That's what helpmates do. So I knew I needed to get here. So we're going to ask everybody, please go on Listen Vision Live listenvisionlive.com, listenvisionlive.com,
Yes.
so you can see this show in its entirety.
Yes.
And so the scripture that I want to start out with today is Matthew 18 and 19. Matthew 18 and 19. And it reads, "Again I say unto you, that if two of you shall agree on earth on touching anything that they shall ask, and it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven." And the touching and agreeing is the piece that I really, really want us to focus on today, because the show is going to be so dynamic. We're going to have a conversation about, the state of our youth, and our responsibilities and all the things that's been happening. And we're going to have my sister-in-law, Dr. Marcia Cradle, who is an educator down in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia area, to really come on and just kind of engage in that conversation with us. So we just have to touch and agree on some things when it comes to our children. But what we want to do first is, of course, do our recap. And Sherelle, you want to start there?
I have 0 notes right now, so
That's okay.
That's okay. So Sharon, she came prepared with her notes, so you're gonna see me cheating off her paper, but it's okay.
Look, isn't that funny? She always jokes me about having my notes, and today they come in handy for her.
Watch me wing this without no notes, y'all. This the part when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Watch me wing this without no notes. So
well, here they are right here. You can just look right there.
I don't even want to look on your paper. So last week was our Valentine's Day show, and we had our husbands on the show.
Yes.
And my husband so kindly told me I was the key to the lock.
Wow, that
and
was incredible.
I love that saying, and yes, I have had to use it against him a couple times this week and remind him that I'm the key to the lock. We were talking about relationships and longevity and mature love and forgiveness in the relationship and getting to the other side. And once you get to the other side, marriage can be a beautiful thing, but you have to have two people working at it, and you have to have two people committed to it, and you have to, understand that it's never all just one person who's the problem in the relationship.
That is right.
Everybody has issues, everybody has a story, and everybody has to acknowledge their participation in the marriage, whether that's good participation or bad participation, but we need to be here. My lovely husband is in the studio right now because he was kind enough to leave the soccer game with me and drive me to DC, because we right now operating with one car because his car is in the shop.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so, teamwork make the dream work.
Yes, absolutely. And Ira and I came from the perspective of, Ira talked about it from a spiritual perspective. And when you think about God, God is ordained marriage. And so marriages really just cannot be successful, in our opinion, without God being at the core. But I also talked about some other things about, liking your husband, liking your spouse, even during those difficult times, because I think the liking of someone, when you like someone, you can kind of look at things a little differently and kind of shift your mindset around how you're going to move forward. I also talked about when it's time to communicate, two opinions can be correct, right? Two opinions can be correct, but it's about, which one are we going to go with for the good of the relationship in that moment. And so those things are very, very important. We talked a little bit about intimacy and sex, and I think we're going to expand on that conversation a little more later on in another show. But, the difference of the intimacy part is what we kind of focused on this time. And we focused on it from the standpoint where we had our dance. Did you all dance with us? That was just so cool. And it's all about touching, and just, being one and connected with one another. You know how it is when you see a friend or somebody you love, you just kind of give them a hug. It's that, that friendship intimacy. But we were talking about the love intimacy, where sometimes you just need to hold hands or just sit down and just touch each other and, gaze in each other's eyes. You don't really have to have a conversation.
Right.
Just have, that private moment just to reconnect with each other. And then we did the game, which was fun.
Yes.
we had made up a game, and the game was fun when we just kind of, asked questions about one another just to make sure that we know each other as well as we think we know each other.
Yes. Well, we both wrote down our answer about what we were going to do after retirement so fast that you could tell we are definitely connected there.
Yes.
And that we are making plans so that we can go RVing and we can be locked in this RV together. And we are not going to tell the children where we are when they call us and say, where are you? Just going to say right here. That way they can't come, they can't ask for anything, they can't find us. We are moving so they can't find us.
Those babies will find you, and then you will answer that phone.
I'm going to answer the phone, but
they're going to know where you are. Stop it. And when you and Jim get tired of being locked up in that vehicle together, are you going to have a plan?
We ain't going to get tired. It's too late to be tired. By then, we'll be close to 40 years together. So we don't need to be tired. It's too late.
Well, still, as I talked about last week, we all need to be individuals as well. And so you do need your space, so that you can kind of regroup and come back fresh to the relationship. So we'll just see how that goes.
We're going to be visiting some people when we get to certain places. We're going to be, all of you all logged in on Listen Vision Live. We're going to be calling you saying, I need a 2-day break. He can stay at the RV and I can come stay at your house and vice versa. And so we're going to get our breaks in.
Yes.
But it's going to be all good. I'm looking forward to it.
Right. And so the next segment is the Black History Fact. And this is Black History Month, as we very well know. And it's just a month, but Black History is every day. And I don't want to, give any spoiler alerts, but anybody that has not seen Black Panther, you need to go and see it. That's all I'm going to say. And it just all kind of makes sense. And I wasn't even aware of the Marvel comics or even the Black Panther. And so I, wasn't really too enthusiastic about going, but I am so glad I went. There were so many nuggets, but, we'll talk about that, maybe give it a week or two for it to settle down so we won't spoil it for anyone. But let me just say this. All of you ladies that are lovers of weave, have you ever thought about where the weave process originated? That is really interesting. And so I did a little bit of research on it, and the inventor of the weave process, her name was Christina Jenkins. Did you all know that? Christina Jenkins.
Not Miss Jenkins.
Yes.
Y'all know who Miss Jenkins is. Not her.
Who's
From the sitcom Miss Jenkins, the nosy neighbor.
Okay.
That's all right.
All right. No, it wasn't her.
We got to keep working with her.
So she was a hairstylist and wig manufacturer, and she was owner of Christine's Hair Weave. And I tell you, she received her patent in 1952. But further research suggests that some people wanted. She lived in Ohio, and some people challenged the fact that she actually was the inventor of the weave process, because they're saying, the Egyptians really kind of started that. And the weave process I'm talking about is that when the hair is cornrowed and is then the hair is sewn onto the cornrows, that's the weave process that she really got a patent on. And so I thought that was very interesting, because we know that, buying hair is big business.
Oh my goodness.
And I've always been curious as to, why another culture has the market on something that we use in our culture. And so I just did a little bit of research on it. And so I just thought that was interesting. And again, her name is Christina Jenkins, and you all can look her up for more information. That is my Black History Fact.
All right. So let's talk about that weave, because I've used it before.
Oh, really?
Because my stylist, she, does whatever she wants to me, and I have very little to say about it. And for a long time, I was against it, but once I had some, I realized how simple your life can be.
Okay.
Since the weave, I've gone natural, and so that's even better for me than the weave, because I have to do very little to my hair, and still make my hair look good. So that's important. But when I did have a weave, it was cute. I showed up at CIAA. I had a blonde weave, long on one side, short on the other. I was working it. I had on a yellow jacket. You could not tell me anything. So I tell you, we're going to talk about CIAA because it's coming up in a couple of weekends, and you know I'm going to go hard for that. But, the weave, whatever makes you happy. If you get it, ladies, the only thing I ask is that you don't leave it in there longer than it needs to be. You make sure you take that stuff out. If you get the kind that you can wash and dry and redo, do that. Get your hair rebraided. Don't just be walking around looking like you waiting on your check. So make sure you keep it fresh because, you can be creative with having weave, and it'll take some of the pressure off of your own hair.
Wow, I fortunately have never had to use weave, and I think that's just a blessing. But I do know so many people that wear it, and for various reasons, so I don't have an opinion about it one way or the other. But I just thought it was so interesting because it's such a big business in our community, and just thinking it through, like, where did it come from, and why aren't we, our community, capitalizing on it? Because women have to do what they have to do to make themselves feel good and to beautify themselves. So I just thought that would be a great Black history fact.
Yes, it is. And, it's very few Black people who own beauty supply stores.
Right.
And I met a lady who was African American who owned a beauty supply store, and she was one of only in her town. And so she talked about how difficult it was to bring the business in because for some reason, we just would rather patronize people who don't look like us. And we feel a lot more comfortable with that. But she was hanging in there. She had a business for several years. And she was just talking about, first of all, a lot of people didn't even know her beauty supply store was Black owned.
Oh,
and
interesting.
So once they found out, they still didn't patronize her the same way they patronized the non-African Americans.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I think everybody I know that's a small business owner and just our community, we just have to do better, and that's what this show is really all about. It's about empowering and encouraging each other and supporting each other in our endeavors, and so we just have to do better about that.
Yes.
So, Sister Chat.
Yes.
Sister Chat. You want to start there, or you want me to start?
It doesn't matter. I'm here. I'm ready.
Well,
Okay.
let's talk about it from the elephant in the room, the school shootings. There have been numerous school shootings in our country, and some people are arguing the point from a mental health perspective. People are arguing that it's only, gun control. Well, I say it's a little bit of both plus some other things. And I don't want to get too much into it until we bring Marcia on. But what I do want to say is we haven't gotten sick and tired of being sick and tired of our babies being shot up in schools by other babies, other youth. We just haven't gotten tired. And the reason I know that is because not much has changed. And when the change process happens, when we're managing change or going through the change process or transformation, we have to have some type of emotional and psychological connection to that thing in order for it to change. And what I see is that we're just talking, because it hasn't necessarily impacted us. I was with a group of people the other night, and when I heard the story, I had an emotional reaction to it. Now, I don't have children. They're not my children. I don't know any of them, but I was able to empathize with those parents. I couldn't even imagine that situation, and I'm an educator, but I still could not imagine that situation, but no one else in the room had an emotional reaction to it. And, and people handle things differently. I'm not saying that their lack of visible reaction meant that they didn't care, but no one said anything. They were looking at me as if, why are you so concerned? Do you know those people? And I was just a little taken back by that. And that's what made me think about this topic and think about, okay, so what, how does change really happen? Change really happens if you look at history when people get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they have a reaction, psychological and emotional reaction to it. And so we have got to start having a reaction because we are responsible for our youth coming behind us, and we are the adults. We have to take charge and make sure that these babies are safe and making sure that they can live the lives at least that we have lived and what God has for them to do in this world.
Well, that's interesting because when I heard about the shooting, I just thought, oh my goodness. I send my son to school every day.
Yes.
I'm the type of parent, I'm like, you really can't even skip school for, most reasons. And so, at any given point, this could be his school. I could be that parent, trying to get 35 miles away from the school. I work 35 miles from him where he goes to school. And so I could be that parent trying to get down those 35 miles, not knowing where he is or if he's okay. And, his many friends that also attend that school that, some of them come and stay at my house, not knowing if they're okay. I just can't even imagine being in that space at that time and watching some of the videos on social media was just heartbreaking. Hearing those gunshots, hearing those kids talk to social media saying, please save us. I'm hiding in this classroom and he's right outside the door. I tell you, it was heartbreaking for me. And so, the one thing I want to applaud though is those kids that experienced that tragedy who did make it out alive. They are now stepping up and saying, talking about it is no longer good enough.
That's right.
And that they are holding the Congress accountable for making change.
Yes.
Now, this is what is going to make the change happen. These young people stepping up, soon to be voters. By the time the next presidential election roll around, they will be voters.
Yes.
And they are making a stand. They are saying, no, we don't want your thoughts and prayers.
That's
you
right.
keep your thoughts and prayers. We want change.
Yes.
We want to see real change happen. And it is no reason why these assault rifles need to be accessible to the average person for any reason. This young guy... Now, I'm baffled at how this guy made it out alive. Like, I have no idea how that happened. And I know he, pretended to be one of the students and was able to get away. But when they apprehended him, if you saw that picture, there was not one cop knee in his throat. He didn't have a scratch on his elbow.
Tell the
It
truth.
was not a black eye. He was not shot dead. But yet... we have our black men out here who are selling cigarettes and they end up dead. Are you kidding me? This guy didn't come away with a scratch. And, he went to court and he said, yeah, I feel remorseful, but, I heard some voices, so that's what I did.
Right. And so let me say this. Frederick Douglass has a saying, a quote, and I'm going to quote him directly because I truly believe this. It says, it's easy to build strong children than to repair broken men. It is easy to build strong children than to repair broken men. And that's what we're talking about. We have to take better care of our kids because they are kids and it is not their fault, the things that happen to them and the things that they experience, but it becomes their problem when they get older if we don't do something to build them up and make them strong. Now, there are some challenges around that. Some people are, apprehensive about getting a mental health diagnosis. Some people don't have insurance to go and get assistance. There's just a lot of reasons why people don't seek help. Being a special educator in my former life, the guilt of parents, the embarrassment because their kid is different from other kids. So, let's just hide them in the house and we're just not going to deal with the fact that our children are suffering because we suffered and we have our own problems and we haven't resolved them. And so, it is very true. So what we're dealing with is a lot of broken men because they weren't built to be strong children.
And we're dealing with a lot of broken parents.
Yes.
Parents having kids and they're not ready. And once they have the kids, they're not participating in the kids' lives. They're not providing that structure for the kids. They are, society now teaches our kids that they have privacy, and so this guy, had this equipment in his, in somebody's house. And, when we let our kids have that type of privacy, we create some of these situations as parents. It was interesting to me. I went through my son's book bag the other day. I didn't know what I was going to find, but I went through it, and I was actually looking for something. I didn't find what I was looking for, so he probably had sense enough to know not to leave it in there because he knew I was waiting to catch him slipping. I was looking for his Valentine's Day card that he got from a girl, but it wasn't in there. But we got to do it. Forget the privacy. Forget what society telling us that's good for our kids, because it's not. We have, as parents, we have to make those decisions about what's best for our children, and privacy is not always best. When you go in the bathroom, yes, you can close the door and be private if you want to, but when you're in your room that I let you rent out for free, there's no privacy. I kick the door in when I go in there. I don't even twist the knob. I just kick the door in, boom, because you don't know when I'm coming. And luckily I haven't busted in there while he was naked or nothing, because I probably would have that probably would be tragic for me. But I try not to do that when he coming out the shower. But any other time, you got to do it. Forget the privacy. Let's raise our kids. Let's be parents that participate in our kids' lives. Let's not, expect our kids to just by osmosis know right from wrong. Let's make sure we are an active participant in our kids' lives.
And the last thing I want to say about this topic is, adults, please remember that they are children. And I want to give you a little education about how the brain develops. And I'm just going to give you just a little bit. You have the frontal lobe of the brain. Everybody should just Google that and just kind of look that up. The frontal lobe of the brain is the part of the brain that helps you to engage in executive functioning, making those connections, being able to think things through, decision making, right? But guess what? Most adults' brains, the frontal lobes of their brains don't fully develop until we're 25 years old. And so think about it. Those of you who have children that are 25 and older, remember you used to repeat and have to say things to them over and over again. And then around the age of 25, you look at them and they start doing some of the things that you've been saying for years, but guess what? And you're like, I've been telling you that for years. It's like the light bulb comes on, but that's exactly a metaphor in terms of what happens. The light bulb comes on in our frontal lobes of our brains. And so now we can, function, decision making, making those connections and thinking through things through. And so because they act like they're grown, they're not. They are children, and their brains are not necessarily developed and ready. And I'm just talking about typically developing children and young adults. But think about somebody that's been traumatized, abused, or something like that. Then the process can even be slower. And so think about that. Do a bit of research. Those of you who have, young children on the frontal lobe of the brain, and you'll be very interested in the particular topic.
Yes, and some of the kids, y'all know, they still a little slow at 25. 26 and 27. So you got to work with them. Don't think because they turned 25
That's
and
right.
you just heard Dr. Credo say that their brain is fully developed at
Well,
25. It's fully developed, but it's still ticking a little slow. So make sure, you still prepared to, get them guidance, because my child not 25 yet, but I could tell the light bulb is coming on for her. And so I'm excited about that. Now, she probably going to be all right at 25. It's going to be her brother who going to need a little extra care. I can tell already.
Well, that's just a typical, developmental stage, and it doesn't mean that the children are going to be perfect and they no longer need parents' guidance. Because I think as long as you're a parent, you're going to give your children guidance.
Absolutely.
Because they don't have experiences.
That's absolutely right.
And so then the experiences become very important. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break, and we're going to bring Dr. Marcia Credo on Skype, and so that we can engage in our next activity. So hang in there with us. Please go to listenvisionlive.com and see the show from the entire view from online. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle, and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep.
What company do you keep? Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it.
Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep.
What company do you keep? Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it.
Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep.
What company do you keep? Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back.
Yes.
We have our company. Sharon's gonna introduce you to our company, but we have Dr. Marcia Cradle on the line. Skype is down, so we don't have her via Skype, but we definitely have her calling in.
Well, yes, Dr. Marcia Cradle is my sister-in-law, and she is just a dynamic and phenomenal woman. She is an educator, an entrepreneur, and she's such an encouraging and empowering woman that we wanted to invite her on the show to really engage in a brief conversation around our youth. She's a special educator, and talk about what special education is, because it is no longer what we probably grew up with. So, Marcia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Marcia.
Good afternoon, Marcia.
Marcia is driving to Georgia from North Carolina. We were together last night, and so hopefully hopefully we won't lose our connection. So, Marcia, thank you so much for being our company today to engage in this conversation with us. We are so excited to have you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Like you said, we're just on the road trying to make it back to Metro Atlanta, but we're doing well. We're glad that you guys are safe, too, after your little mishap today.
Yes, God is good. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the conversation. Marcia, just tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, like you said, I'm your sister-in-law, and I'm also an educator, an author, a motivational speaker, and my work revolves around being a person of encouragement for others. that's my mission. I feel like that's the call on my life, that I give other people ways to reach whatever their goals are, to help them identify their goals and then reach those goals.
Yes, well, wonderful. So let's just dive into the conversation.
Yes.
Let's start with Sherelle and I. Under our Let's Talk About It, just had a conversation around our youth, and I know that you are in a high school and you work closely with youth every day. Can you talk to us about when the shooting happened the other day? The conversations that you all had at the school around that topic, and what are you all doing in your community to work with children who are maybe struggling and having some challenges?
One of the first things that we really had to focus on was their safety. Just helping them to understand that things are different, and we can't allow people. Let me just tell you this: our school is considered an inner city school, so people can access our school, and so we're having to really have conversations around not allowing people that you just see walking up to come into our school without checking in and realizing that just because the person smiles and says, hey, how are you? We can't allow them to do that. And then also being able to recognize some of the signs and signals when things are not quite right, even with our own students. Just recognizing that and then having things in place to be able to support them, because it's really about support for our students. I heard a little bit of what you guys were saying about the brain not being fully developed. And we have to understand that. Even though they look like grown people, they're not.
Right.
And we just have to stop making that assumption that because they're 6'3" and 225 pounds that they're grown up, they're not. We have to provide, the main thing is information and support.
Absolutely. Yes. And let's talk a little bit about, we have kids that struggle in our schools every day, and many of them find their way into the special ed arena. Can you talk just a little bit about what special education is and, the types of students that we actually sometimes encounter to help them progress through school?
Sure. Well, special education, first of all, it has for years, has had a negative stigma attached to it. And we really have to move away from that.
Yes.
That it doesn't mean that the person can't. It just means that they do it differently.
Right.
And we really have to get away from that stigma of just making it such a negative thing. And the students that come to us are often identified through a behavior that they display at school. Again, we have to provide support. I'm a special educator, but special education is not the answer for everybody. Right. They might need support in other areas of their life that cause them to act out while they're at school. But if they do truly need the support, we have to not be afraid to give it to them.
Yes, absolutely. And let me just say this for the record. I'm an educator at heart, and I think we do not give our teachers enough credit in terms of dealing with, educating kids and dealing with everything that children bring to the schoolhouse. And children bring their whole selves to the schoolhouse. And our teachers have to be there to be mother, father, social worker, whatever the child needs. And so we're going to try to change the conversation around our teachers are not good. They don't know what they're doing. I beg to differ. I think you have a few bad apples in any type of organization or profession, but teachers, without teachers, this country wouldn't function. Just wouldn't function
at all.
And so let's start giving them some love. Yeah, start giving them some love.
And we also have to understand, like you said, kids are coming to school with issues that, if we're really honest, teachers are not equipped to deal with.
Right.
They're just not. And so if we are true to ourselves, we have to recognize that and then put the money that it takes into the school to be able to provide them what they need.
Yeah, and I know if we all think about it, we can all remember that teacher who had that impact on us.
Yes.
Coming through
Yes.
school, whether it was elementary, middle school, or high school, even college.
Yes.
For those that attended college, there are specific teachers that had a huge impact on our lives. And so, it's a whole nother conversation when we start talking about what a thankless job being a teacher is. We send our kids to
said
school.
Something right there, Sheree. You said something right there when you said that thankless piece. But
Yes.
the good news is, like Sharon said, that most teachers go into the field not for the money,
Right.
but they do it because they really care about students and what
Yes.
students are having access to, and making sure that their needs are met. So, coming into it for the money is not the answer.
And when Sharon
Right.
was listing off the different roles that teachers have to play, the biggest one is, which they shouldn't have to do, is the disciplinarian. We should
Right.
send our kids to school prepared and ready to be taught, not to be disciplined. And so,
Correct.
that discipline piece is tough because people have different philosophies around disciplining children, and the teacher should not have to try to figure out, nor should they be in confrontations with the parents because the child has misbehaved.
Okay, this is going to have to be a whole nother show.
Yes, a whole nother show.
That one right there, you just said a word right there. We should not be in confrontation with parents. That's not our role.
Right.
Our role truly is to educate them. But here's the piece for that. Parents have to be more involved.
Absolutely.
They just have to be more involved. When a parent enters the building, everybody should know them. It shouldn't be whose parent are you?
Right.
What who are you? No, that's not how it should be.
Right.
The PTA meeting should be filled to capacity every time the PTA meets. But anyway, that's a whole nother show.
Yes,
Right.
it is.
And there are just no excuses because God has given every parent these beautiful babies, and you have a responsibility, and we're just going to have to answer to, what did we do with the gift that God gave us? And we're going to have to answer that question one day. So just moving on, as you all know, this show, we're here to educate, to inspire, to encourage everyone. And so
and also to promote.
Absolutely. And so most of you know that I have a women's conference that I give, Woman Thou Great Women Sharpening Women, and this is the third annual conference coming up next month. As a matter of fact, on March the 24th, get your tickets. I got about 20 left. You don't want to be left out.
Get your ticket.
Yes. And
Get your ticket. I'm your MC, so we're going to have a good time.
Right. And Marcia, Dr. Marcia is on my quality assurance team. And so when I put together my team, I wanted people who were sharp, had different talents than I did, would hold my feet to the fire, would not be afraid to say, I don't think that's going to work. And I could tell you all a story about that, and you all are you'll get tickled, those of you that were there. Last year, I gave out the orange socks.
I have mine on today.
Oh, she has her on today. You are great socks. And those ladies that were there, that was a big hit. And so I said, would it be all right if I asked the ladies to bring their socks back? And they were like, no.
Some probably got holes in them.
They were like, no, that's not a good idea. So those are the kind of people that you want, on your team to make sure that you are in place. And so in turn, Marcia has been that encourager, smart and holding my feet to the fire, telling me no when I need to hear no. And she also is trying to do the same thing in the Atlanta area. So Marcia, talk to us about what it is you do down in Atlanta besides being an educator.
Well, I'm like I said, I'm also a motivational speaker, and I'm so excited because this weekend I'm hosting my inaugural conference.
Yay!
Yes, I'm so excited I can barely stand it. It's the Sister Circle Summit, bringing it all together, mind, body, and soul. And the purpose of my conference is to do just that, bring women together
in a sisterhood, because see, the world is telling us that we can't have positive relationships with other sisters.
That's right.
They portray us as these drink throwing, cussing women who
Right.
just are just out to get each other, and that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. We are we're talented women. We support each other, and so we have to bring. That's why I'm bringing everybody together, so that we can see that we can have a different type of relationship, and just show everybody that we know how to make it happen. And like Sharon said, we have. You know, you're going to have some times when people are going to have to tell you, no, you're wrong. And I want people in my life who tell me when I'm wrong, but I also want them there to encourage me
Right.
and build me up when
Right.
I need it. So that's the whole purpose. And it's for all women. I have about 10 tickets left. So hopefully you'll be able to get your tickets and come and join with us. Sharon will be there with us. So it's going to be awesome. That's all. It's going to be awesome.
Yes, and Marcia, you just said something. And one of the previous shows, I talked about the reality TV shows, and I said I just don't know women like that. And I'm not saying I just don't know women like that. And so what you just said is so true. It rings true. And relationships can be sometimes kind of tricky, but we have to learn how to navigate those relationships so that we can build each other up. And I'm telling you, I cannot wait to talk about Black Panther when it comes from that perspective. I just cannot wait to talk about it.
Well, sisterhood is very important, and sisterhood should be, when they start talking about how Black Panther broke records this weekend, that was a way that we showed up and showed out, and we supported that Black film. We supported that Black director. We supported those HBCU alumni actors and actresses in those show. And so that's just a small thing that we can do when we come together. And if we came together like that more often for the positive stuff, as opposed to coming together, for the negativity, we could really be the change that we want to see in this country.
And Marcia, what is the why? What is the why for you for being a special educator? Because it takes a certain type of person and personality, and then the why behind, you feel like that's what you were born for, but did you have an experience in terms of the sister circle, the why behind both?
I did. Now, for as far as being a special educator, I found myself, I ran from it for years. Sharon knows that my mother was an educator, and I would go to visit her classroom, and I was always good with them. I mean, you got to toot your own horn sometimes. I could just always get them to do whatever they needed to do, and she kept telling me that's your calling, but we often run from our calling. And so I finally gave in and went back to school and I love it. I've been doing it for 23 years.
Wow.
And most special educators don't last that long. That's how I know it's a call on my life, because I can still get up in the morning and be excited about it. The why for the Sister Circle Summit came about because of a conversation, and I've talked about this before, how sometimes we see people and you're like, hey, how you doing? And you expect them to say, well, and, we sort of move on before they really answer. Well, I was on my way into work one day, and I said that to a colleague, and she said, I'm not good. And it really stopped me in my tracks, and I had to, stop, have a conversation with her. We had to have prayer, and then, God just placed it on me he said, send her something every day to encourage her. Yes. And it started out sending emails, and Sharon she's a witness to this. Then I started including her, and my list just grew and grew, and Sharon actually encouraged me to put those thoughts and those inspirational moments into my first book. So that's the why for that one.
And I absolutely love it. And I absolutely love that you followed through on that suggestion, because that book has really encouraged a lot of women and helping a lot of people when they're not so good every day to get some source of inspiration just to keep them going for that day.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Marcia,
Yes.
I love the title Sister Circle, because we really should circle around one another and not
Yes.
have a straight
Yes.
line that can be divided.
Yes.
It's hard to divide a circle, but you know, when
Yes.
you in a straight line locking arms, you can be divided. And so I love the
Yes.
name Sister Circle.
Yes, and I already know that
Thank
it's going to
you.
be wonderful, and time is running out because we got started late, but that's okay. We just really
That's all
appreciate,
right.
Marcia. I don't know if you want to share anything else before we go to our last break of the show.
Now, I just want to say thank you to you and Sherelle for answering the call to provide a place for company to come on a
Yes.
weekly basis.
Yes.
And I just, I encourage you, and I know that great things are going to happen. I say let's go nationwide, worldwide.
That's right.
So-
We
girl.
already
Look.
worldwide, let me
Claim
tell
it.
you.
Yes. So, Marcia, thank you
Yes.
so much. I look forward to seeing you on Friday and participating in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
conference. And you all continue to have safe travels. Please text me or call and let me know you all made it home safely.
All right. Thank
All
you,
right,
guys.
thank
Have
you,
a great
Marcia.
evening. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Okay. Bye-bye.
And so we're going to take our final break. And when we come back, we're going to close out the show. So thank you all for tuning in. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle, and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3:00 p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep.
What company do you keep? Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it.
Welcome back, welcome back. Whew, this hour usually goes fast when we start on time. So, it goes extra fast when you start about 7 or 8 minutes late.
Yes.
But we showed up. That's what's important.
Yes. So we just want to say, just thank you all. You all are just the best audience in the world. We love you all. We love the support. And a lesson was learned today. You have to practice what you preach. And I did that today. I did it very well. It's a mindset. On one of my very first journal, the tagline is shift the mindset and the view will change. And so I knew I had a responsibility to be back here today. Something happened that was out of my control. I could have been panicking, I could have been rushing, but I just shifted my mindset around, oh, well, it's nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to be upset about it.
Right.
We'll get there when we get there, because it was more important for me and my family and my sister as well to get here in one piece so that we could give the show.
Yeah, so, again, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So those little minor side tracks,
That's all it
that's going to
was.
happen in life. If you
That's all.
let the main thing be the main
Yes,
thing, today
yes.
the main thing was to do this show. And so no matter what happened, between us getting up and actually getting here, we just stay focused on the main thing.
Right. And before we close out, I have about 20 tickets left for the 3rd annual Woman Thou Art Great Women Sharpening Women Conference. You can go on eventbrite.com to get your tickets, and I tell you, you will not be disappointed. And anytime you hear numbers in front of events, you know that it has been a success over time. Otherwise, I would not have a 3rd or 4th one. So thank you all for your support. Thanks to everyone who's been encouraging us and who have already purchased your tickets and who are just excited about the 3rd annual conference.
And believe me, you want to bring the millennials to this conference because it's something for everybody.
Something for
I'm going
everybody.
to entertain the crowd like never before. So make sure you get your ticket. Come see us. Come support us. You know, when you leave that conference, you will feel great.
Yes, so thank you all for tuning in. It's time for us to sign off. Have a blessed day and afternoon, and we'll see you on next Sunday at 3 o'clock.
And as always, you can stay in touch with us on social media.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Thank you.